Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're glad you're watching. Thank you so much for making time to join us. This is Sound Candid Talk, open forum, political discussion show. The show gives you an opportunity to air what you feel and think about the latest development on our political front. Well, a lot is happening, some of it favorable, others leaving a lot to be desired. And then, of course, the church that has been in the mix all along with their relationship with politicians. And one controversial bishop, that is Ole Sapit, the bishop of the Anglican Church of Kenya, now was today barring politicians from making statements in church. What is going on? Is this the new way? And Ole Sapit is not a stranger to most of the Kenyans. He is one that led the prayer in the controversial rigged election result at Bomas. His relationship with William Ruto cannot be said otherwise. Their closeness and they are working together in the same direction has been the order of the day. So we are raising questions. Did he bar Gachagua, Kalonzo, and the rest from speaking because he's been given instructions by William Ruto not to allow them to speak, or he is acting out of his capacity as the Archbishop of the Anglican Church of Kenya, and so he's purging the church from the corruption of the politicians. Why? Well, while this is going on, we can't forget to remember the Kakamega Senator Boni Halwale saying that Ole Sapit received 8 million from William Ruto. That was while William Ruto was deputy president, and Halwale was making a claim that if the politician's money is dirty, then he should return the 8 million. And so what has changed? Is this the new way? And this new way, how far is it going? Well, while that is going on, the politicians are now, need to go and organize their own rallies and not take advantage of church services to get free congregation to address. Another moving story is the lady in custody who has been sentenced to death, but there is a spirited effort by the Kenya government to save her off the hook in Vietnam. It is a back and forth. There are some unconfirmed reports that the death roll has been pushed to June. I don't know how true that is. I would love you to help me confirm the same from wherever you are. I want to salute each one of you as you join. Please make sure you play your role. Invite somebody to participate in the show and play your role accurately and passionately, committedly, because we're here to see to it that we realize a better Kenya by reason of recovering what we have lost and returning to the rule of law and making Kenya better than ever. Well, as we begin to engage, please be on the forefront. Sound Candid Talk Live has 9 people. Sound Candid Talk is here to get somebody. Facebook, I'm here to see somebody. TikTok, naona mtu mmoja wawili. Naomba tafadhali tumakinike kukaribishana. Na ukifika tu, like video. And then, of course, participate accurately and focusedly. I think we are on the wrong TikTok, huh? But we'll make do with the same. Huh? Thank you, everyone. Please, naomba tumakinike katika kutekeleza wajibu wetu na karibisha fika mapema tukazungumze masuala haya. Esther Stoll, karibu kwa show. Asante sana kwa kuwai. Tuni Muhamuda wa PS, asante sana kwa kufika. Karibu. William Adilo, karibu kwa show. Thank you, everyone. The link to use to get in the studio is already in the comment section. Click on it, allow StreamYard to configure for you the camera as well as the audio, and you will be in this space for us to get talking. And then, of course, as we engage, we need to tell each other the truth Politics are always, have their turns and the twists, but the truth is somewhere. The truth is somewhere, and somebody may be covering it, or somebody may be hindering us from seeing what it is. So we want to know what is happening. Ole Sapit, has he had the Damascus experience that now he sees politicians speaking in church is a problem? And what does this spell of him as an archbishop, as a Christian, as well as his close ties with William Ruto? Okay, if you look at the thumbnail picture, he's closest to William Ruto. They are shaking hands at the State House. He was the one who led the prayer in the controversial, where chairs were flying in Bomas, in the controversial Wafula Chebukati madness of declaring elections with all manner of issues arising. Well, we would want to dive into this, and what is the role of the church in the society, especially at this point in time. Barring politicians from speaking in the church, will that make the church better, and will in any way help the situation in the country? Let's talk and let's tell each other the truth. Well, let's begin with that particular story, and then of course nakungoja wai mapema tukazungumze masuala haya. Kumbuka lazima tukazungumze kwa wakati unaofaa, kisha tufungashe. Asante sana. Tumsikilize Ole Sapit na ujumbe wake kwa kukosoa wanasiasa, kufungia wanasiasa kuongea kanisani.
The Anglican Church of Kenya has recommitted to its ban on politicking in all its churches across the country. ACK Archbishop Jackson Ole Sapit said church pulpits have been turned into avenues for early campaigns, a practice he warns risks fomenting division in the country. Now, Sapit made the remarks when he presided over the consecration and enthronement of Venerable Canon Jonathan Kaburu as the third bishop of the Nairobi Diocese. We begin our broadcast with our very own Ayub Abdi Kadir.
They congregated at the St. Stephen's Cathedral. A political class who felt obligated to import their faith into politics, turning places of worship into political outlets, and giving belief to their political ambitions, but were stunned when they were treated to an unsolicited lesson, their intentions eclipsed.
From today on henceforth, in any Anglican congregation, and I thank God my bishops are here, there will be no opportunity for any political leader to have a speech in the church.
Sensing the makeup of the political elite present to witness the consecration of Canon Jonathan Kaburu, the Archbishop of the Anglican Church of Kenya, Jackson Ole Sapit, stood firm in enforcing an earlier ban from the pulpit. Sapit, expressing his disappointment on how the privileged status of the church has been exploited, denying Gachagua and company the much-needed oxygen of publicity.
We will mention their names, they will wave their hands, and if they so wish to speak to the congregants, it will be done outside of the sanctuary. And not only today, but in all our dioceses and in all our churches.
Thereon, Ole Sapit's spiritual authority bringing to a close the express privilege they hitherto enjoyed at the pulpit. The optics and the airtime they were used to, no longer the case. Outside, Ole Sapit poked holes into the cropping political alliances, which he added are founded on the basis of fanning and fueling political division. He also deflated politicians' Harambee spirit.
Tumesema pia sisi tujaitisha Harambee na hela za kanisani asitatangazwa. Ukitaka kulete ulete ikiwa vile ilivyo na iweke vile ilivyo maana ile tunapeana kwa Mungu haina haja ya kutangazia wanadamu.
The Archbishop cautioning against early campaigns, largely synonymous with President William Ruto and opposition leaders, often crystallized as development tours but embody the 2027 elections.
Tungeuliza wanasiasa watoke kwenye matembezi ya kampeni, kwa sababu 2027 bado ni mwendo kidogo, washughulikia Wakenya, kwa sababu Wakenya wanataka kushughulikiwa kwa wakati huu.
For what the public leveled as provision of soft landing spots, turning the houses of God into political gallery. Ayub Abdikadir, Citizen TV.
Haya, maswala ni kama hayo. Ole Sapit asema basi hakuna kutumia madhabahu ya Bwana kuongelesha wananchi kama wanasiasa. Tena anasimama kinyume na wanasiasa kuingia katika masuala ya kujipigia debe mapema kabla ya mwaka wa uchaguzi. What I need us to look at is what is happening, what has changed, and is this now the way things will be, or it is orders from above not to allow a particular crop of politicians not to speak and others are allowed to speak? I need to hear your views. Please place it in the comment section or join me in the studio as we discuss this Ole Sapit new spirited effort to curtail and ban politicians from speaking in the pulpit. Now, from where I sit, that is a timely action, in my opinion. There has been an abuse of the church and an abuse of the pulpit when it comes to politicians and their sense of entitlement. There has to come some kind of order and respect for God and for man, especially when it comes to church and political relationships. I believe we should separate these two completely. Remember, Kenya is not a religious nation. It's not a religious state. It is a civilian state. That is a secular state. And for it to be a secular state means all manner of faiths and all manner of religious practices are open. We have freedom of worship. And when one kind of faith is given preference over other faiths when it comes to political relationship, that is a recipe for problems. And so for politicians, if they want to address the Kenyans, let them arrange for their rallies and let them invite Kenyans to whatever stadium or whatever grounds they want to address them, and then let them be addressed from there. The issue of politicians following funerals and following church services to use them as podiums for their political marketing, that needs to stop. And so I agree with Ole Sapit, that should not be the case. But the Ole Sapit move leaves a lot of questions, and that is why I want us to look at it. Could it be that alipigiwa simu asiruhusu kina Gachagua kuongea kwa sababu Gachagua na Kalonzo na Wamalwa au support William Ruto na serikali yake? Hilo ndio ningependa tulizamie, alafu tukiibuka kuwe na majibu kwa hayo maswali. Na kukaribisha mahala pote ulipo, makinika kulike video, kushare the live, hakikisha kwamba ni wewe unafanya mambo yanafanyika. Usikae tu hapo alafu unatazama bila kufanya chochote. Na kushukuru kila mmoja anayejiunga nasi. Tuko live kwa Sound Candy Talk YouTube channel, Sound Candy Talk live YouTube channel, and Sound Candy Talk Facebook page, as well as TikTok. We'll be switching to the Sound Candy Talk TikTok shortly. Right now we are on Triumphant Bible Media. We got here accidentally, but I'm happy that you're following from where you are. Thank you so much. Naomba tafadhali utufollow kama hujatufollow, subscribe kama hujasubscribe, na njoo useme masuala haya kwa kina. Mngependa kuelewanwa vizuri kabisa katika mambo haya. Wewe kwanza kura leo unapiga hivi: should the religious leaders ban politicians from speaking in church? Yes or no answer. 14 people have already cast their vote, and of the 14 people, all of them 100%, they are saying yes, they should be banned from speaking in the pulpit or in the church. Haya, kama unaona hivyo basi piga kura yako na sisi tukakuelewe. Ningependa tusonge mbele tukichambua suala hili, uhusiano wa kanisa na serikali. Kulingana na katiba, sisi hatuna serikali ya dini. Tuko na serikali ya wananchi wa Kenya, and the Kenyan state is a secular state. It is not a religious state. So this closeness of the president and the church is not the way the constitution envisioned the Kenyan government to function. Whether the president is a Kikuyu, whether the president is a Christian, is a Muslim, is a Hindu, is Din Msambwa, or whatever other dini he comes from, that should not be mixed with his professional responsibility. His professional responsibility means as the head of state, is supposed to preside over all the required functions that make every Kenyan comfortable. So when the president sidelines other religions and, appears to be supporting Christianity and or propagating Christianity using his public office, that is what is wrong. I'm not against anybody evangelizing, but it is wrong for William Ruto in particular to be using the president's office, the president's cars, the president's machinery to propagate Christianity. And so as much as we would want to have our functioning right as a nation, we need to be able to call these things to order. So it is not just a matter of getting politicians not to speak in the church building, but this problem seems to be springing from the head, okay? From the head, from State House. The problem of the church and the state is springing right from State House, okay? And this Christianizing of this nation needs to be put to a halt, in the sense that evangelism should take place, yes, but not using government resources and not using government influence. That you are a president and you are a Christian doesn't mean now you use the president's resources, you use the public resources to do your Christianity. Everybody, I'm a serious Christian, and my Christian practice is at my own expense. It should not be under at the expense of taxpayers. It should not be at the expense of neglecting responsibilities. And so I want us to look at this keenly. Kama una maoni yako, naomba tafadhali uyatume. Kama huwezi kuingia kwa studio, weka hapo kwa comment section, tutaweza kusoma na wananchi watakuelewa kile unachokisema. 19 people. Can we get more people to join? Please share the link widely. Get more people to come in and let's reason together. So Ole Sapit amesema kama mnataka kuongea uko nje, si hapa ndani. Now that's another controversy that probably we should not dive into at the moment, but something needs to be done, and that something being done is let us be able to tell each other the truth, so that the fault is not just politicians coming to church or politicians using church building to do politics, but the real thing is we don't have a religious state. Why is William Ruto and team trying to make Kenya government a Christian government? or a Christian state. Now, I'm talking that as a Christian. It is wrong for that to be happening. He should go to church, just like Mo used to go to church. And of course, everybody was free to go to wherever church they go to. But this aspect of trying to Christianize functions of the state are the main problem. And then this is one of the premise upon which now politicians have a sense of entitlement, that if they come to church, they should be allowed to make an address. And if not, don't forget, not many weeks ago, there was a case, was it in Meru, where a bishop abandoned a funeral service because the politicians insisted they have to speak in the funeral, and he had said no politicians are going to speak. And so they took over the service, and the bishop decided to drive away and leave the funeral service in the middle. So this aspect of politicians forcing their way into the pulpit and forcing their way into the church and demanding that they should address the people needs to be put to a stop. And we begin by correcting the problem from where it began. We have not had a president in this country who has attempted to Christianize the state like William Ruto. And that, in my opinion, is the starting point of all that we are suffering today. And so politicians, if you are a politician, you come to church, you sit where you've been told to sit, and you stand when you're told to stand, and leave when you're supposed to leave. But this aspect of you coming and you want to be mheshimiwa, and in the process, you now want to take over the church service and run it in your favor, that should not be allowed. And so I think on that one, I agree with Ole Sapit. But if he's doing that because he's been instructed to do that by William Ruto, then he's still at fault. And Ole Sapit, we are yet to find a way to forgive him, because if there is an accomplice to the rigging of the 2022 elections, remember what Macharia brought out in the funeral yesterday, or yes, is it yesterday or the day after? It is indicting the IEBC, having dead voters in the register and using them for rigging. And don't forget the story Ole Sapit gave. Chebukati called him when he is panicked in the house. We was distressed. Ole Sapit went to Chebukati's house to pray, and they hid him to bring him back to where? To Bomas, to make an announcement of the results. God knows where the results came from. And so, Ole Sapit, before you begin to tell politicians what to do, tell us what you've been doing with politicians. Yes, tell us what you've been doing with politicians. What happened until you were in the mix of the Chebukati rigging of 2022 elections? You are the one that hid him from being scrutinized when there were people looking for him to make him substantiate the results he's about to announce. You hid him, brought him at the 11th hour, shielding him in a vehicle to deliver him at Bomas to rob Kenyans of their decision. Ole Sapit, if you want us to listen to you well, begin at the beginning. Stop this beginning at the end. Let's begin at the beginning. What is your relationship with politicians? What do you do with politicians? Remember, Halwale has already let the cat out of the sack. You collected 8 million from William Ruto as deputy president. What was it for? And let me not say how was it spent. All in all, asanteni sana. Naomba tafadhali tumakinike. Ingia studio tukajadili masuala haya kwa kina. Kwangu mimi, hii nchi lazima irekebishwe, na kurekebishwa kwa nchi hii utahitaji kila Mkenya kupenda haki na kupigania hiyo haki. Asante sana. Wacha tusikilize hawa Gachagua Kalonzo Sakaja baada ya kuzuiliwa kuongea kanisani. Here we go.
Well, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja are among politicians who were barred from addressing congregants at the ACK St. Stephen's Church in Makadara, Nairobi on Sunday. Now, the politicians were also barred from announcing how much money they gave as offering by the Archbishop of the Anglican Church of Kenya, Jackson Ole Sapit. And as NTV's David Muthoka now reports, Sapit has warned all politicians that it will no longer be business as usual, insisting that all ACK churches in the country will not condone politics at the pulpit going forward.
For a long time, politicians in the country have had an easy time in churches where they have been given platforms to address their proponents and opponents alike. Like any other church service, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja and their troops were the ACK St. Stephen's Cathedral in Makadara, Nairobi, where the leaders may have expected to be given an opportunity to address congregants before the service ended, as has been the norm. The service was attended by thousands of congregants from across the East African region who are here to witness the consecration and enthronement of Venerable Canon Jonathan Kabiru as the new bishop of the Nairobi ACK Diocese.
I, Jonathan Kabiru Kariuki.
After colourful enthronement, the Archbishop of the Anglican Church of Kenya, ACK Jackson Ole Sapit, did the unexpected by announcing that no single leader will be given the microphone to address the congregation.
There will be no opportunity for any political leader to have a speech in the church. We will mention their names, they will wave their hands, and if they so wish to speak to the congregants, it will be done outside of the sanctuary. And not only today, but in all our dioceses and in all our churches.
Sapit only allowing the politicians to stand and wave at the faithful. The visit by the opposition to this church comes just 2 days after President William Ruto was in this area to launch several projects and also make new promises. This turning to be an opportunity missed by the opposition leaders to slam the government over its failures, and a missed opportunity by the government allied leaders to counter the opposition. At the end of the service, one by one, the politicians left silently, avoiding any interviews with journalists who waited for them outside the church. Sapit has maintained that no Anglican church will allow politics at the pulpit, as well as the public announcement of any forms of contributions from politicians moving forward.
Kenya haijawahi kujua namna kusitisha kampeni za siasa. Baada ya uchaguzi moja tunaanza immediately kampeni za siasa, na tumeona hivi karibuni ya kwamba mirengo ambazo zinaendelea kujiunda zimekuwa na cheche nyingi na mengi, wakati mwingi ni ya kugawanya, ni ya sio kuleta uwiano, hasa ni ya kulenga kila mrengo ilete maneno yake na cheche zake.
We join the Archbishop in ensuring that we continue to be the right and the salt of the world, that the church will continue to be the voice of the voiceless, and that will continue to spearhead justice within our borders, and above all that we'll be able to commend where we need to commend, and also to condemn where we need to condemn.
The move gaining support from some leaders in other parts of the country.
Ninafikiri kanisa lingefanya zaidi ya hiyo. Moja wapo ni kufanya mashauri ya uwiano katika taifa.
A majority of other churches are yet to ban politics at the pulpit amid lingering questions on the morality of allowing politicians to campaign on sacred pulpits. David Muthoka, NTV.
Okay, mambo yamekuwa hivyo, yale yaliyotarajiwa na wanasiasa wa upinzani tuseme kufanya nini, kung'oa yale William Ruto amekuwa akipanda wiki mzima. Ilitibuka wakati Ole Sapit alizuia hao kuongelesha wananchi. Na kwa maoni yako, hiyo ndio njia ambayo tunapaswa kufuata ama kuna nyingine? Na kama kuna nyingine tuambie ni ipi. Kwangu mimi, wanasiasa wafanye siasa yao, lakini kwa gharama yao, au kuja kuingilia masuala yetu ya church na kutumia church kama mahala ambapo watakwenda kuchimbana na kujibiana na kufanya wananchi wakosane. Hiyo haifai kabisa. So hapa mimi na support kwamba siasa ifanywe kando na kanisa, na wanasiasa wajue jinsi ya kuwa professionals. To be professional means you should be able to handle whatever situation in the docket of your provision as your vocation, without necessarily imposing your what is it called? Imposing your faith on those that don't believe the way you believe, or trying to use public office for your religious expedient. I believe we are all important, and we need to ensure that every Kenyan is getting what is rightfully there. So watu wa kanisa, hivi ndio tutakwenda ama tutabadilisha? Na kwa maneno yako tu tuambie, unaona hili linatokana na zile salamu Bishop Mwai alipokea, yule wa Jesus Winner, ama ni normal tu procedure ambayo inaendelea? Wewe tuambie kwa maneno yako tukakuelewe. Kwangu mimi, wanasiasa wakitaka kufanya mkutano wao, basi watumie nafasi yao na watengeneze mkutano wao, walipie gharama ya huo mkutano, alafu itaeleweka kwamba hawa wako serious na masuala wanayoyasema. Lakini hii kwenda kutegemea wananchi na kutegemea washirika wanapokuja kanisani, ndio wewe unataka kuwatumia kama your free audience. Free audience. Now that's also interesting, because our politics nowadays is cash carry for it's everything about get paid in order for you to participate, get paid in order for you to do anything. And so the free congregation, or rather the free audience, it seems to be available in the church. And so church people, wakati umefika mkatetee haki yenu, na kila Mkenya atekeleze wajibu wake. It is just that way. There are no two ways about it. If we must be a country, then we must all adhere to what makes our country a country, and what makes us be able to do what is pleasing before God and before man. So wanasiasa, jipangeni, okay? And then of course kuna corruption hapa inahusika. Mara wachungaji wanalipwa ili wakaribishe hao wanasiasa ama wapatie platform ya kuongea. So hii mambo yote is a mixture of so many things. But in my opinion, let's get the church to be church, the government to be government, the politics to be politics. Mixing these things is messing up the livelihood of Kenyans, and we shouldn't have that to continue. And so as we do our politics, let's do it at our own expense, and then of course be sensitive to other people. Don't use public office as a means of propagating your personal faith or your own faith. Let the public office be open to all Kenyans from every walk of life, the Hindus, the Muslims, the traditionalists, and every other person. The president can be a Christian, but being in the office is not Christian. Being the president's office is not Christian. The Christian could be that particular person. But when you are in the office, you are in the office of the Republic of Kenya, and the Republic of Kenya has Hindus, the Republic of Kenya has Muslims, the Republic of Kenya has traditional worshippers. This republic has variety of people of different faiths. And so you as the president, you can't be a president for the Christian only. You can't be the president of this particular religion. You must occupy that office as president with the knowledge that this diverse belief system that exists in the country cannot be made to belong to one group of believers. And so as we dive into this, in my opinion, William Ruto has contributed to the fall of the church more than any other person in the history of this country. And then, of course, with his money that he flies around and, of course, try to buy the bishops, buy the pastors, buy the church leaders so that they can do his bid, that also needs to be put to an end. Let William Ruto understand that when he comes to church, he's not president, he is William Ruto. And being in the church, he's there for his own soul. He's not there for any other thing. Every one of us make our way to Jesus because we need his help. We make our way to church because we need help, not for us to get there and then be entertained to all manner of games being played in favor of this politician against the other politician. And so the barring of politicians from the pulpit, it is a welcome idea, but let us do it genuinely. Let's do it also with the, of course, proper understanding that our public office should serve the public and our public office should act in the interest of the public, not an individual, not a particular religion or a belief system. So as we engage as Kenyans, tujifungue tuelewe haya mambo kwa kina. Tuache kujifungia na kusema mimi ni mimi tu, mtu wa kawaida, hakuna kile naweza kufanya. Lazima tuwe na kile ambacho tunafanya na lazima tusimamie hicho ambacho tunakisema. Well, as we take a short break, let's have this commercial, and then of course coming back, I expect somebody to join me in the studio. Inaonekana watu wengi walienda church alafu wakakwama. Naomba tukarejee mapema tena tukazungumze kwa kina. Karibuni.
So hiyo story mko nayo ati iko shida, hiyo ni yenu. Na mtangoja, hakuna shida itakuweko kwa hii serikali ya William Ruto, kwa sababu William Ruto na mimi kwanza ni Wakristo, mabibi zetu ni mapasta. Sasa sisi ni watu ya Mungu. We pray to God every day to give us guidance. And I want to tell you people, my relationship with the president is beyond the presidency, is beyond governance, is beyond leadership. Ours is a friendship of 25 years. We are family people. President William Ruto is my brother. We enjoy such a good relationship that issues of governance and leadership can never even come our way. So hiyo mwende muandike Sunday vile.
Kutoka vijijini, mijini hadi jijini. Hii ni Sound Kanti Talk Live.
Okay. Sisi ni Wakristo, bibi zetu ni mapasta, 25 years of relationships, of relationship, there is no way we can fall apart. Hivyo ndivyo mambo yalikuwa kabla ya impeachment. Sijui kama leo lugha ndio hiyo ama shida iliingia. Tuambie kwa kina wewe vile unavyoona mambo haya. Na wasubiri muingie studio tukazungumze ama ni kukwepa. Wai mapema tukazungumze masuala haya, naomba tu ili tusikae sana. I'm even running out of breath. So tafadhali wai mapema tukazungumze. Let's look into this story of this lady who is on a death row, but it appears that the Kenya government wants to rescue her and then, of course, maybe get her tried here. What is your view on the same also, even as we look at the story?
Tension remains high in Manga, Lamu County, even as government security agencies remain on high alert of Kenya. The Permanent Secretary for Foreign Affairs, Dr. Korir Singh-Oei, says Vietnam is considering Kenya's petition to hold the execution of Margaret Nduta for drug trafficking. Well, this latest development comes after the family of Nduta made an appeal to have her repatriated to Kenya, where she can serve her sentence. Nduta is scheduled to be executed on Monday, the 17th of March, and Kenya considers the death sentence as unconstitutional, and it's a case that has most of us on the edge of our seats as we wait to see if the government stays on course and saves Nduta from the hangman's noose.
As you sit down to have your dinner tonight, on the other side of the world, Nduta Macharia is about to have her last. Now, it's said that she will have her last meal at 7:30 p.m. tomorrow night, after which an hour later the Vietnamese government is scheduled to execute her, most likely by lethal injection, after she was convicted of drug trafficking. But that is if the Kenyan government doesn't handle the situation on time, following pleas by her mother to have Nduta's life spared. In a bid to show just how concerned Kenyans are over Nduta's welfare, Senator Richard Onyonka last week wrote an open letter to President William Ruto to seek for clemency and repatriate her to Kenya, where the death penalty is considered unconstitutional, adding that Kenya has on numerous occasions stood for justice and humane treatment of its citizens worldwide. In response, the Permanent Secretary for Foreign Affairs said in a tweet dated the 16th of March 2025, the case is complex and difficult, but the government is doing everything it can. In a following tweet, the PS said that he was in talks with his Vietnamese counterpart, Her Excellency Nguyen Minh Han, over the matter. He says that he conveyed to Ms. Han the anxiety of the Kenyan people, adding that the Kenyan government has asked for a stay on the execution scheduled for Monday, the 17th of March. That is tomorrow evening. The last time someone was executed in Kenya was 1987. Kenya doesn't actively implement capital punishment, perhaps the reason why many are begging for Nduta to be repatriated to her own country where she can serve her sentence.
I want to take this opportunity to ask and to request the President of the Republic of Kenya, William Samoei Ruto, to assist this lady called Margaret Nduta, who is supposed to be hanged tomorrow in Vietnam.
Imagine getting killed for something that you are not aware of.
Sadly, Nduta doesn't have that kind of time.
Nduta's twin sister, Rosemary Wamboi, says that news of her conviction has already cost the family.
Hatawaiona mjukuu wake tena. Mama mzazi harari kwa sababu ya majonzi, akiimagine mtoto wake hataona mpaka mifupa. Unajua mwanamke wakati mtoto wake umemzaa ni vizuri hata kama ni kukufa uone mifupa. Imagine mwanamke mwenzangu Mkenya hataona mpaka mifupa, hatazika mtoto wake nyongo akiwa kwa nchi ingine.
Nduta Macharia was arrested at Ho Chi Minh's Tan Son Nhat International Airport after 2 kilograms of cocaine were found concealed in her luggage. Nduta managed to pass through Bole International Airport in Ethiopia and Hamad International Airport in Qatar without detection. She claims that a Kenyan man by the name John hired her to transport a suitcase to a woman in Laos. She maintains she did not know what was in the said suitcase. Nduta was found guilty of drug trafficking on March 6th. Catherine Omwando, NTV, Nairobi.
All right, listen to this news from overseas. The government has sought a stay of execution for 37-year-old Margaret Nduta, convicted of smuggling drugs into Vietnam. In a tweet, Foreign Affairs Principal Secretary Dr. Korir Singoe assured that the Kenyan mission in Bangkok is following up on the matter, following his conversation with the country's Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs. Now, Nduta was sentenced to death by a Vietnamese court earlier this month after she was found guilty of trafficking 2 kilograms of cocaine. Let's get more from our very own Laura Tieno.
Prayers have been the norm at the home of Purity Wangare at Waithaga village in Murang'a County. For the last 10 days, this family has been restless after they learned of the fate of their kin who was due for execution. 37-year-old Margaret Nduta was convicted by the People's Court in Vietnam on 6th of March 2025 after she was found guilty of smuggling 2 kilograms of cocaine. The family, however, says that their king had been framed.
Huyo mzigo alipatikana nayo, alipeo ni Joroge, akamwambia apelekee mama mwingine na akirudi ampatie kitu amrudishie.
Hiyo ilikuanga mara yake ya kwanza kwenda, na unajua mtu akienda safari atoke hapa aende safari ambapo haezi jua ama nchi yenye hajui, kuna yale taratibu yenye anafaa kufuatia the routes naye hajui.
Vietnam has one of the toughest laws against narcotics, where anyone found guilty of trafficking 100 grams or more of hard drugs such as cocaine and heroin faced the highest penalty of death. Foreign Affairs PS Korir Singoe on Sunday said that he had engaged Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs in Vietnam, requesting a stay of execution and finding an alternative resolution. The family, however, says they have not yet received any information on the fate of their kin.
Unisaidie, muniletee huyo msichana huku, alafu mkitaka kumfuga mumfugie huku.
Until then, what began as a journey to seek greener pastures has turned into a nightmare for the family of Nduta, which clings on to hope that she will be vindicated and reunited with her kin. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV.
Okay, hali hivyo katika masuala haya, na ningependa pia hilo tukalizamie na tukaseme ukweli kuhusu mambo haya. Ni juzi tu tulikuwa tunazungumza kuhusu Wakenya ambao wako stranded katika nchi za kigeni kwa kuhadaliwa alafu kutapeliwa na kufanywa watumwa ili watekeleze kazi ya uhalifu, wakubwa wakichukua hiyo hela, hao wakiendelea tu kufanya the cyber crimes. Now, ili swala la kupewa suitcase upelekee fulani, atakupatia kitu uniletee, linakotokaje? I mean, kama umesafiri, wote ambao umesafiri na ndege, sheria inasema kwamba mizigo yako yote lazima wewe ufanye parking, ujue kile kitu umepack ndani, usiseme ulipewa bila kujua kile kiko ndani. So huyu dada alichukua briefcase akabeba kama ajui ni kipi kiko ndani ama ni vako. Nashukuru, naomba tukaandamane katika kuangazia swala hili. Mama, wewe ndio msafiri number 1. Hebu tuambie hii mambo inaendaje?
Penat, hiyo mambo sasa, hata sisi tulio hapa Mtu kama anakuja nyumbani, unamwambia unipepee sanduku moja na una weigh ujue ni kilo ngapi ama ni pauni ngapi. Lakini saa ile imekuwa sasa ni kujitetea. Hakuna mtu, hata sisi ukituma mtu anakuambia aone vitu yenye unamtuma. Kama ni manguo mpya anakuambia utoe karatasi, utoe kila kitu, kwa sababu ikifika pale kwa immigration. So nimesikia vile mama yake ameongea, katajwa mtu anaitwa Njoroge. So kama alikuwa innocent huyu Njoroge, unajua ameweka mtu shida. Lakini watu wanafanya mambo, biashara imekuwa mingi, wanapenda kutumia watu wanaonekana innocent, but hayo mambo sidhani, kwa sababu ni nani huyo anakupatia? Kama ndiye sababu hata ukiwa airport watu wanachunga msiko sana, kwa sababu huwezi taka ipotee kidogo, ama unaambiwa ukienda bathroom usiai wacha msiko yako kwa airport ama mahali umeketi unaenda nayo, kwa sababu hata security kwa airport wakipata umewacha sanduku yako ama umemwambia mtu akuangalilie, penalty zinachukuliwa. They will not allow, kwa sababu watu wanaweza weka vitu mbaya, anawacha na kuepa. So hiyo ni inside job. Hawezi kuwa alipepa vitu wachui, ama mwenye anaitwa Njoroge hiyo ndiye alimuset kumwambia hii ni kidogo tu peleka. Kama saa hii sisi tulikuwa tunaletanga nyumbani laptops, tulikuwa tunabeba masimu kadhaa. Na sasa wakati Kenya walilete shida, imekuwa ngumu hata mtu kukupepea kitu penalty, kwa sababu pale inanyang'anywa ama inalipishwa. So watu wameokopa. So nafikiria hiyo ni hiyo sijui vile nitasema, ni asante tu serikali ya Kenya, hiyo ambassador ameingilia, waweze kuongea kama embassies, akiwa na party awachiliwe, kwa sababu sasa hiyo uwezi sema ni. Alafu tena watu wana travel agencies, unaona tunatafuta makosa, ikishatupata serikali inapepa msiku. Ni kama msichana unamchunga, siku moja anaenda nje anapata mimba, watu wanasema wasasi wachungi watoto yao. So hii ni bahati mbaya tu, lakini ni wale wengine waonywe ya kwamba usibebe msiko ya mtu bila kujua ni nini iko ndani. Nafikiri hiyo tu ningesema. Nimeona umeongea mambo ya makanisa, Ole Sapit. Sijui Ole Sapit anasema makanisa gani, amesema kanisa yake, na yeye mwenyewe alikuwa pale Bomas. Na kama wanasema ni ukweli, kama wanasema wanasiasa wasipate chance kanisani, hiwe ni wote, na isikue some churches, iwe ni kitu, kwa sababu kanisa, watu walikuwa naenda kanisa wakitaka kuhutubia watu waende nje, lakini mambo ilipatilika, wanafanyia siasa ndani. So hiyo kama ni kukomesha, ikomeshe kwa makanisa yote. Na zamani walikuwa nasimamisha, unaweka mkono juu, wanasema China, na hata wewe usemi, sababu umeenda kanisa kuomba Mungu, utaenda kanisa kufanya siasa. Na penalty hii watu wengine wote, kama unataka kufanya rally, watu waite mkutano sao penalty. Wacha kutumia mkutano ya kanisa, mkutano ya nini. Hawa wanajulikana. Kama wanataka kufanya siasa, waite mkutano yao, waite watu wafanye hiyo mkutano hapo. Lakini hii kasi ya kwenda kutumia wachungaji, unawapatia pesa. Tumenunua hata wachungaji. tumeweka hata tambi kanisa. So nafikiria Bernard, it is high time mambo ipatilishwe iende vile inatakikana, na watu ya kanisa pia watumishi wachue limit yao, na kama wewe si mtumishi wa Mungu ama unaitwa pale kwa sababu ya siasa, pia wawache wananchi wachue Bernard, kwa sababu mambo mingi imeharibika ni kwa sababu ya kanisa. There are so many innocent people wanaamini watumishi wa Mungu, wanaamini kanisa, na kanisa ndiye imeweka watu kwa moto. We get bad leadership because of the church. Ukisimama kuambia uamini wako Mungu amesema Mama Selina ni mzuri, wanakuamini na watapatia hiyo mtu kura. Lakini kama ungemwambia waumini wako murudi nyumbani muende muangalie vile iko, kuna watu unaona mtu anauza hata kidogo ndiye aletee pasta. So wakati tumeumia, tumekataa kulaumu wenye walituweka kwa hiyo moto. So kama Ole Sapit hiyo ni dhambi amejua amefanya, atubu, asiseme tu, asiambie watu wasiende kanisa, aseme kwa nini. Na kama ametubu, iwe ni makanisa yote. Najua Catholic si rahisi sana kufanya dhambi, lakini hii watu yetu ya kuita roho hii wanakuanga atu wanaongea na Holy Spirit. Sijui Holy Spirit yao ni gani hiyo sasa, Bernard? Holy Spirit yenye wanaongea direct na Mungu, si hawa ndio wanatakikana kujua watu wabaya? So you guys, you mess the Holy Spirit.
Hiyo tutatafuta baba askofu akuje kutuelezea.
Hapana Bernard, ukweli.
Lakini na kuelewa na nakubaliana na wewe, kuna shida kanisani, haswa hizi kanisa zetu za kiroho, kwa sababu hizi mainstreams unaona wamechukua msimamo tena mkali katika mambo ya kuchanganya na wanasiasa. Lakini niseme tu kumekuwa na mabadiliko katika kanisa ambako wengi wa wachungaji wamenaswa na masuala ya pesa. Na siku hizi kanisa halikai vizuri kutokana na utakatifu, kutokana na kuwa heavenly minded. Inaonekana vizuri kwa sababu iko na jengo kubwa, jengo mpya, iko na air conditioner, iko na magari, iko na mavazi ya hali ya juu. So tuliacha ile kupata haki machoni pa Mungu, tumeenda kupendeza watu na kufanya fashion. So hiyo ndio mojawapo ya makosa ambayo yanasababisha haya mambo yote, kwa sababu uko under pressure. Pia wewe kanisa lako likae kama la Bishop Mwai, okay? Bishop Mwai yako na mshirika anaitwa Ruto, anakujanga na 20 million. Wewe uko na washirika wako anakujanga na mayai mbili. Sasa mayai utauza ifike milioni 20, haiwezi. So wewe tumikia Mungu mahali upo, fikia wale wako 5, wale 10, wacha kujilinganisha na wengine katika hiyo hali uingie katika dhambi. Mimi naamini Mungu anafanya nini, na anapenda kila mmoja wetu na anataka kushughulikia kila mmoja wetu, lakini kwa viwango vyetu. Okay, kwa viwango vyetu. Hajatuita tu compete, ametuita twende kutekeleza kile ambacho tunapaswa kukitekeleza. So as pastors, let's get out of the greed and love for the money and just love God and serve God for free. Kumfuata Mungu ni rahisi, lakini watu wamechanganya na nini na hiyo materialism, na itachukua muda kabla turekebishe hiyo.
Nafikiria tena makanisa ya samani kama Catholic, kama CPK, ile makanisa ya 7 day hiyo ya Muslim, ile ilianza kabla wachaprek. Hii ingine hii wanaenda wakipata watu 1,000 wanadivorce, wanajiita define, wanajiita sijui nani. Mabishop wamekuwa mpaka ujui bishop ya ukweli ni nani. Biashara imekuwa mingi. Samani unakumbuka makanisa, kuna mafasi ya wamama, kuna mafasi vile watu walikuwa naingia church. Na ninashukuru kuna makanisa mpaka hata Korindo ile watu wanadharau, wale watu unaenda na maneno ya Mungu hiyo yao. Hii ingine watu wa karibu wanatembea uchi. Na pasta anaruhusu ati kwa sababu asikose watu kanisa. Na pinguni jameni inasema barabara pana inaenda Chanamu, ile nyapamba inaenda kwa Mungu. Sasa situkasanie hii nyapamba kidogo ya watu 20, watu 10, hiyo ndiye kanisa. Lakini hii yenyu ya 50,000 Bernard, 40,000 Sunday inajaa. Watu wanalia, unafikiria Mungu ameshuka, na kumbe wanalia uongo. Mnanunua watu wanakuja na viti kama viwete, wengine wanajifanya visiwi, wengine wanasema hata Mungu yetu sijui anaona aje. Anyway, wacha waapishwe kabisa.
Sawa sawa mami, asante sana kwa hilo, na church lazima irekebishe hii masuala, na nashukuru kwa sababu mahali tumefika hakuna kujificha tena na hakuna kudanganya. Kama wewe unaamua kutumia kanisa kudanganya, basi utanaswa tu na ukweli utajulikana. Na cha muhimu pia kanisa lirejelee makusudi yake. Kanisa sio mahali pa fashion, kanisa sio mahali pa kwenda kujionyesha. Kanisa ni mahali pa kwenda kuabudu Mungu, kumpenda Mungu na kuelekeza dunia ikampate huyo Mungu wa kweli. So sio kujionyesha na sio kuonyesha una hela ngapi ama umebadilisha nguo ama hairstyle. So hii yote ambayo imeletwa na inaharibu makanisa tuachane nayo. Naomba tu change gears. Kuna hili suala la usalama naanza kuliona kana kwamba ni la kisiasa. Wanasema there is tension in Lamu. Watu wameonekana huko kama Al-Shabaab. Now ningependa tuangalie hili in the backdrop ya yale maswala ya Natembea alikuwa anasema kuhusu Wakenya kupewa Wakenya kupewa vitambulisho bila veti. Okay, and then huyu anaitwa nani, Duale, naye anasema marefugee wote wale wako kwa camp watafanya nini? Watapewa vitambulisho ili watumike katika kupiga kura in 2027. So hii mwanzo wa kuanza kuona Al-Shabaab tena baada ya muda. Hatujakuwa na hii story ya Al-Shabaab for a period of time now. Wanarejea na wanaonekana wakisababisha haya madhara. Is this for politics or it is indeed a terror attack?
Tension remains high in Manga, Lamu County, even as government security agencies remain on high alert after the village was invaded by heavily armed people believed to be Al-Shabaab militants on Saturday evening. Locals report that the armed men gathered them at one place, preached to them, then distributed date fruit to them. And while no casualties were reported during the incident, the area still remains tense, as NTV's senior reporter Sharon Mumanyi now tells us.
A police report seen by NTV affirmed that about 150 Al-Shabaab operatives invaded Mangai at around 6 p.m. on Saturday as locals were preparing for evening prayers. The report indicates that the operatives first probed the Mangai Border Patrol Unit camp located 80 kilometers from the village before splitting into two groups. One left manning the patrol camp as the other one entered the village. Some locals interviewed in Mangai said they saw tens of people armed with AK-47 rifles approaching their village, most of them hooded. The armed men would then order the locals to gather in one of the corners of the village before introducing themselves as Al-Shabaab militants. Those interviewed, afraid to speak on camera, say the militants spoke about Islamic teachings before distributing date fruit to them as a Ramadan gift and warning them not to speak to authorities about their visit. Confirming the incident to NTV on Sunday, Lamu County Commissioner Wesley Koech noted that security agencies across Lamu County had been on high alert, especially since Ramadan kicked off earlier this month. This, he says, is to deter criminal elements that might take advantage of the Ramadan period to spread extremist ideologies with the aim of dividing citizens based on religion. Koech added that security agencies are alert and that there's no cause for alarm. Boni Forest, where the Saturday incident occurred, is among key areas that are closely under security surveillance and monitoring due to the ongoing multi-agency security operation Amani Boni, with a key objective being to flush out Al-Shabaab militants believed to be hiding in the dense Boni Forest. Following the Saturday incident, a contingent of security personnel have been dispatched to Mangai to beef up security in the area. Sharon Momanyi, NTV.
Okay, hali ndio hiyo, tangazo hilo. Mama, unaonaje hii?
Bernard, najua mambo ya Al-Shabaab, hata vile askari yetu wanachiparate hivyo, labda hiyo ni watu tu, kwa sababu Al-Shabaab, wewe unajua vile wanakujanga. Sasa na walikuja kuhubiri na kuleta chakula, so wakati and mostly Al-Shabaab ama watu wanaitwa Al-Shabaab, wakati ya dini yao, wakati ya Ramadhani ni peace time, ni wakati ya amani. So maybe our security to be alert every time, because hiyo tu sasa after Ramadan you don't know what will happen. And kulingana pia hii mambo ya vitambulisho, hii mambo ya kusema, unaona watu wengine wanasema Ndwale anataka kusimama PP, anataka kuwa unaitwa nani, TBT president. So unaona hapa Kenya iko mambo mingi sana. So Ndwale atalete Somali yote wakate kura ndiye apate, ama ni nini inaendelea Penat? I don't know. Mambo ya Kenya it is so difficult now kuelewa, kwa sababu Ndwale, yes, anyway, si lazima kuna watu wananyimwa pifande kwa sababu haijulikani. Na hata sasa kilankani wanafuata sahi. Mimi sasa, mimi kijana yangu unaita kijana yako Joseph Salina ama Joseph Mary ama ama David Wairimu ama David Angela. Sasa wakati munaenda kufuata mambo ya kitambulisho, huyo mtoto unaweka jamii ya nani? As we refuse others, saa ile tunataka kurestrict others. Hawa watoto wanakuwa na china ya mama, kilani yao ni wapi? Kwa sababu ukienda kwa kipande unasema hiyo yote. Sasa nyinyi ndio mnatengeneza mambo, alafu ikishaiba mnasikia mbaya. Mnalalamikia nani? Wewe uko na mtoto anaitwa Joseph, unastahili kujiita Joseph Kiprotich ama Joseph Wanjala ama Joseph Otieno. Si unaita Atieno, Joseph Atieno. Atieno tunajua ni china ya msichana. Wewe unapata kijana anaanza kujiita Joseph Wairimu. Hasa Penat, hiyo tena itakuwa ni serikali. So kipande kila mtu anapata, sababu samani Haidi ulikuwa unaenda uliswa kila mama yako, baba yako, babu yako, kila kitu ilikuwa filechi yako, chibi yako ni nani. Sasa ya sahi Penat, sisi wa Kenya tumepata freedom. We enjoy the freedom we need. Na tusikatashe watu. Kwa sisema huyu ni Al-Shabaab. Huyu Al-Shabaab anaitwa Muhammad Mariam. Mwingine anaitwa Muhammad Amina. Mwingine anaitwa Salim china ingine ya wamama. Sasa huyo utamunyimba kibande aje?
No, ile iko interesting na hii story ni kwamba hao watu walikuja wamebeba bunduki.
Nimewacha hiyo, nimejua watu ya Al-Shabaab wamekuja na bunduki, wamekuja kuita watu wakaelimisha wakati ya Ramadhan, wamepatiwa chakula, wachaua mtu kwa sababu wakati ya Ramadhan ni only kwa Waislamu, na wameenda na kusema msiongee, but wameonekana. Hiyo ni moja, hiyo ni sensitive. Alafu sasa hii maneno ikakuja tena hii ya kipande. Nje sasa unaona watu wanaingia. Ndiye ninakuuliza, kijana yenye unanyima kipande anaitwa Salim Mariam, ni ya Somali ama ni ya Kenya?
Si hiyo ndio sababu ambayo anaitwa na Natembea alikuwa anasema, kwa sababu hakuna vile unaweza kuona huyu Msomali useme huyu ni Msomali wa Kenya na huyu ni Msomali wa Somalia. Lazima kuwe na ile kukagua kwa kina. Kukagua kwa kina inamaanisha udhibitishe kwamba wewe ni Mkenya kabla upewe hicho kitambulisho. Sasa hiyo ndio William Ruto amefanya nini? Ameondoa mtu akipresent tu yeye ameapply, ameweka sticker, anapewa ID. So Natembea anasema tukiendelea hivi tutapeana ID kwa wageni. Hao wageni wataingia kwa jeshi, hao wageni wataingia kwa polisi, watafanyika mpaka wakuwe kwa presidential escort. Sasa tukiwa na president wa Kenya na yule ana command escort yake ni Msomali ama Muethiopia ama Mjibuti, atalinda hiyo serikali kweli? Na maisha ya huyo rais itakuwa iko salama? So
hiyo Natembea Penat alikuwa provincial commissioner.
Yes.
Anajua mambo mingi sana kushinda watu wengine, na yeye kuna mambo mingi alifanya akiwa provincial commissioner, akuambia watu ukweli. Unajua hii watu Penat, mtu anafanya mambo alafu anaruka. Nimesikia hata leo Kimani Ngonjiri ati kwa sababu Natembea alisema Wajaluo ni wachinga, sijui alisema Wajaluo wamefanya nini. Nimeona Kimani Ngonjiri, ukiona hiyo video uweke ati sasa Natembea ni mwanaume. Mwanaume ya kufanya nini? Mtu ile alikuwa anajua. Ndio kipande hata wewe Penat, bila kujua mtu ingine, wakati kijana yako anaenda chukua kipande, ama wewe wakati ulienda, wakati si tulienda. Kwa hiyo kitambulisho iko mahali ya clan, iko mahali ya kichichi Penat, iko mahali hiyo yote. Lakini sasa ile shida ni hii, tuseme kwa watu ya boda, wewe ni Pukusu na tuna Wapukusu Uganda, na makilani yenyu ya Pukusu na ya Wakenya ni sawa. Na wakati ataulizwa wewe unatoka village kani, ukweli atasema, na hiyo kilani yao atasema. But sasa hii ya Somali pia watu kuna integrated, kuna wale wako Tisai na kuna wale wako upande ile ingine. Lakini kuna ile ilikuwa inatusaidianga samani, walikuwa nasema wale wakeni Penat Kisomali yao, unajua kumbe kuna kama Waluya, Wasamia na Muluya sijui ya wapi. Kuna kitu moja wakiongea, unasema huyu mtu ni Mkenya, lakini jameni huyu unaona. Lakini sasa pia hiyo imeisha siku hizi. Samani chief walikuwa na indarocate kwa roho safi ya kwamba walikuwa najua mpaka wanasema babu yako ni nani anyway. Lakini ya saa hii watu wamesoma, hawataki history, wataki nini. So kama wewe unakuja, mimi natoka Kambi Moto iko hapo Somali, pengine mahali fulani, mwenye anaandika hiyo vitu ajui history, ajui hiyo makilan, anatika anapeana kipande. Sisi ndio wenye makosa, tusilaumu serikali. Kwa nini tumekataa history? Tumekataa kujua clan zetu, tumekataa kujua Penat.
Okay, let me throw in a disclaimer. Ili si swala la Wasomali peke yake.
Nimesema kabila yote wale wako kwa boda.
Nimekuelewa mami. Ningependa tu kuweka vizuri ili kila mmoja aelewe. Kutoka mpaka ile time ya Moi, okay? Wacha Kibaki, wacha Uhuru. Hata time ya Moi, kupeanwa vitambulisho vilikuwa sampuli mbili. Wale watu wanatoka kwa interior districts na wale wanatoka kwa border districts. Wale wa border district, I mean, district yenu imepakana na nchi nyingine. District yenu imepakana na nchi nyingine. Kama mnatoka kwa hiyo border, kutakuwa na strict vetting ili wageni wasicross border wachukue nini? ID. So it's the same thing at Migori, it's the same thing at Trans Nzoia, at where is it? Trans Nzoia, Malaba border, the same at Busia, the same at Namanga and all that. If you come from a border district, maswali yako ni mengi na lazima upeane majibu iko accurate na lazima ukue certified na chief na assistant chief mpaka ijulikane kwamba wewe ni Mkenya halisi. Hata wana demand kwamba wajue sasa babu yako na babu wa babu yako, ili kuwe na mzee ambaye anaelewa hiyo na anadhibitisha huyu ni mtoto wetu. So hiyo ndio ilikuwa inalinda nini? Usalama wa nchi, ili tusikuwe na foreigners ambao wanaweza kuingia kwa army ama kuingia kwa polisi. So ili swala likizungumziwa na nikana kwamba ni Somali peke yake, hiyo sio kweli. This has been with us from Moi's time na it has been all border district. Nilikuwa nasema juzi mtoto wa Bishop Kanali ile amekuwa kwa hiyo sometime back, mwanawe second born alikuwa anapata nini? ID na anatoka Trans Nzoia, walinua shamba huko Trans Nzoia. So ilibidi aje tukafanya nini? Tutafute mtu wa nyumba 10 tutafute chief, tutafute nini, hiyo watu wote wathibitishe kwamba huyu ni Mkenya na sio Uganda. So watu kukua sensitive na tuseme Rais Ruto anataka kufanya nini? Kuhujumu kabila zingine akipatia kwa kabila zingine. Hiyo sio ukweli. Ukweli ni kwamba kudhibitisha kwamba wewe ni Mkenya sio kuhujumu mtu yeyote. Kuulizwa babu ya babu yako ni nani, hiyo si kuhujumu mtu. Tunataka kutafuta ukweli ili Wakenya wapewe priority. Mgeni akipewa hiyo kadi, akipewa hiyo ID, atakuwa ata-access kila kitu ya kila Mkenya. Hospitali, job, kupata kazi, mambo yote tu mpaka masomo.
Hapo tena pena umesema vizuri, lakini mahali makosa inatokea ni hii, ndio upate ID. Tunakuja kwa pasta yako sasa. Wewe pasta, unachukua pesa, unapeana kati ya upatiso. Unaenda kwa chief, unaenda nunua kwa chief. Umeenda kwa sababu chief anasema ati mtoto alisaliwa nyumbani juu, wawezi taka kupeana ile nini ya hospitali record. Sasa kuna watu wawili wanakosea Kenya, pasta na chief. Hiyo pesa wanakula. Kwa nini useme umenipatisa? Kwa sababu hiyo ni kitu ya watu wanaheshimu upatiso. Sababu chini ya kupatisa iko
nini kanisa na maneno ya baptism, those are just supportive documents, they are not primary documents.
But you have to take it. Uwezi pata ID bila kukuwa na kati ya patiso na barua ya chief na kati ya hospitali.
That's why I'm saying supportive documents. Supportive documents inamaanisha wewe umeandika mama yako ni fulani, okay? Wakati ulibatizwa katika kadi yako ya baptism, huyo mama ndio huyo ama amebadilika. So wana compare documents zako za shule, documents zako zile zimetoka kwa chief na documents zile zimetoka church. Kama majina yanatofautiana, basi inajulikana hii sio huyu. Okay, kuna mtu tofauti. So it's just for comparing and making sure that yule aliye anadai kubatizwa alibatizwa kwa hilo jina, chief amekubali kwamba hilo jina ni la kwake, mama na baba wale ambao wameandikwa kwa baptism card ndio hao wale wameandikwa kwa birth certificate, and ndio hao wale ambao wamefanya nini, wamedhibitishwa na chief. So
na corruption hapo ndani.
So, kama kuna corruption katika kutengeneza hayo majina, basi sisi ndio tunasaidia wageni wapate nini, ID ya Kenya,
yes,
na sheria. Okay, kinyume na sheria. Lakini katika masuala ya vetting, me am 100% supportive. Watu wakaguliwe vizuri, tujue nani ni nani. Lakini kama itakuwa tunang'oa kila kitu ili kila mtu aende kufanya vile anavyotaka ama aingie na kutoka vile anavyotaka, basi sisi ndio tunauza nchi na sisi ambao tunasababisha madhara katika nchi yetu. And so this invasion of Al-Shabaab, atuwakuje wakuwe na madarasa wafundishe, alafu wapeane watu kwa chakula, alafu waambie hao ni Al-Shabaab, lakini msiambie nini, authorities. To me that is speaking volumes. Okay, speaking volumes. Now I think there is more to this than meets the eye, kwa sababu wale ambao wamekuwa hapa mnakumbuka first term ya Uhuru Kenyatta, first term ya Uhuru Kenyatta 2013 2017, kulikuwa na a lot of those explosives, kulikuwa na a lot of those whatever mess up in the security that resulted into endangering Kenyans. You remember the invasion at the Garissa University where children were killed in that terror attack. So wakati hawa watu wanatukujia alafu wanasema fulani ndio alifanya hiki na hiki kafanyika, ama sisi tuko hapa kuhakikisha kwamba tunasherekea Ramadhani pamoja na sisi ni Al-Shabaab, lakini msiambie mtu. So imekuwa kuaje wageni wanaweza kuja watu 40 wanatembea kutoka msitu, wanawaletea ugali, wanawaletea chakula, alafu wanakuambia hao ni Al-Shabaab, lakini msiambie authorities. So there is something wrong with our borders, and we are allowing everybody to get into the country, and that's going to endanger the country. Nimekuwa nikiwatch video moja kwa ile swala la Congo. Okay, so kuna mtu ambaye amepata ile video ya wale Watusi wakiperekwanga na World Health inaitwa nini, humanitarian organization to Congo because there was war where in Rwanda. Okay, so inadhibitisha kwamba hawa Tutsi ambao wanapigana kwamba wapewe sehemu ya Congo ni wageni. Okay, ni wageni. They are not indigenous people, but because they came in earlier and they settled, and the government did not address the matter or give them the control, and now they are demanding as if they are indigenous, and now they are fighting the indigenous people. And so if we don't take care, we are going to open the door for many foreigners. And when those many foreigners now, angalia kama hao 40, they walk in like an army and then have fun with Kenyans, wapatie chakula. Next time wakikuja nani ata report, hawezi kureport. Next time wakikuja, there will be 80, there will be 100, there will be 200. So that what is going on in our country is endangering us. It's not just, serving political undertones. It's endangering the livelihood of Kenyans, is endangering the welfare of Kenyans, and that ought not to be the case. So I would that we begin to reason as Kenyans and defend what is valid, other than just waking up and giving sweeping political rhetorics that don't help the situation as far as the safety of our country is concerned. Our safety is a priority. We cannot play around with it. And so if 40 Al-Shabaab can walk into the country, hold a party in the country, distribute food in the country, akwendangi hivyo. So let us be told, are these people Kenyans, and how did they get access to Kenya and be able to do a party, throw a party in our country? Reverend Lala, karibu.
Yes, Bernard.
Yes, if you are ready to make your submission, please do.
Oh, okay, give me like 1 minute, then I'll be back.
Okay, in that 1 minute, you'll be listening to Fraha. Fraha, please take it.
Hello, everyone. I think I'm having internet issues, so I'll just try and take one stab at the submissions. Tunaongelea Ole Sapit, tunaongelea pia, the Al-Shabaab. And for Ole Sapit, I think he let us down, just as a lot of these church leaders had let us down. But if he is now seeing the light, maybe, like we have said, there should be full disclosure. Full disclosure in the sense that, maybe he can come out clearly and say what role did he play during that time. Because I think that would be true repentance, and it would also give the church, or at least the denomination that he leads, the ACK that he heads, it would give them some, itawapatia tu jina nzuri. But in the absence of that, of course we will take the quick wins in terms of the space ya hao watu kuongea inaendelea kushrink, and maybe a few more leaders. Some of them might not be bold enough, some of them might not have the integrity, but they might also be afraid of the perception that people have wakiendelea kukubali hawa watu waje kanisa zao. What happened to Mwai, as much as the takeover did not happen, the occupation did not happen successfully because it was thwarted, but there's a sense in which, even if you're a congregant there, even if you're a leader who's looking forward, you might get Ruto's money, but at what cost? Because there could be some people who will be wary of what kind of person you are. Na sijui kama siku moja sadaka pia huwa zinaweza pungua, kwa sababu sasa kama tushapewa 20 million, kama tuko na project, nitatoa tena tu, nitaendelea tu kutoa pesa kawaida, saa zile tumeshapewa 20 na tumepromisiwa 100. Commitment yangu, will it just remain the same, or at some point I can relax and say, after all, the president has the church covered. So there's a lot that sometimes maybe because of greed, people don't look at the bigger picture. What message are you sending? Yeah, because 20 million is not small money, 100 million is not small money. And at some point, I don't know how that sits well, if it sits well with all the congregants. Will people differ if maybe this money comes and maybe it's not used the way they expected it to be used? But the quick wins, I think, is that message of stopping these people from making a statement at the altar. I think that one is a good step. The only thing that sometimes when you do a good thing and it's coming from failed expectations, ulikuwa umesha let people down, people don't have a lot of faith in you, they see you as somebody who was already compromised in terms of pesa ambayo ulichukua we mwenyewe, you know, just before these elections, ama wakati ilisemekana ni kama ulichukua 8 million kutoka State House. So that is the only, it gives it a dent. Sasa ile sasa haina ile usafi ambao ungepatikana kama ungekuwa mtu wa Mungu ambaye amesimama kila wakati na maneno ya Mungu. You are a strong role model. But if you've already been compromised, as much as you're doing something that is positive, kidogo haileti ile raha ambayo ingeleta, ile nguvu ambayo ingekuwa nayo if it was coming from somebody who has no background of having been compromised. On the Al-Shabaab, I want to agree with Selina in terms of it's Ramadan, they've come and they have, because of their Muslim, you know, beliefs, they are not causing chaos at that time. But it's a very strong message ya kukuja, tumeingia, tumefika, tumefanya kile tunataka kufanya, tumerudi, without, you know, without any undue, hakuna changamoto, hakuna security intelligence that ilikuwepo. So it's worrying because I'm sure the way it has been said, there's tension regarding what this could mean, because if they come again when it is not Ramadan, unafikiria watakuwa tu will they come in good faith? Will they just come and give food and, you know? And of course Lamu imekuwa na, it has had a lot of insecurity, it has a lot of lapses in terms of intelligence and you know, anti-terrorism, actually terror acts of terrorism, you know, watu wameumia huko Lamu, they've been affected before, and some of these people, sometimes they come, they attack, they disappear, they leave a stretch of destruction, na inakuja tu inapotea hivyo. After, you don't hear anything until they come again, Boni Forest. So, sijui, our borders are a bit porous, and I think that is where now the link that Mama Selina brought about the IDs is very questionable, because if we are relaxing, if now we want to relax the scrutiny that was taking place for border counties, it becomes very, very shaky, because you don't know whom are you putting. And just the way we have already said, hao watu wakisilimika, some of them are Kenyans, they become of the Muslim faith, and they no longer have these names, they subscribe to the Al-Shabaab doctrines and the beliefs, so they can come in and leave without a lot of challenges. So that also poses a lot of risk in terms of our country and in terms of the things that you know, we keep on worrying about, because our security doesn't give us a lot of confidence. It doesn't give us a lot of confidence in terms of securing our borders, because we've seen this happen before, even in previous regimes. People just come, they attack villages, a whole area, and they burn houses, and people live in terror for a very long time, and then they disappear, and you don't see anybody who's brought to book. You don't see anybody who's charged with being behind the planning. Sometimes we don't even get to know what is it that they wanted. Wame attack, wame disappear, people are displaced, houses are burnt, but we don't even know hii terrorism act ilikuwa ya kutafuta nini. Sometimes unajua, we don't get to understand what were they looking for. Was it just terror for the sake of terror, or was there something that was behind it, or were there people who were behind it, and what was their intended goal? So I think as we move forward, the two areas that we are discussing today, the church and politics, and the plus that we can take away, that no less than Gachagua, Kalonzo, and that team walinyimwa nafasi. What happens, going forward? Because if this is sustained, hawa watu watakosa hizi platforms zenye wanatumia to just speak anyhow and then continue this sense of ni kama tuko tu kwa campaign mode, because you're in a church and you're talking politics the whole week. You're talking politics. Sunday we are supposed to take a break, we go back to our creator and we give him time. We are talking politics. We are laying somebody to rest, and we are talking politics. So I think if the space is shrinking, I think it will be a good thing, so that these people have to go back to the drawing board and try and understand what else can we offer to the people, because now hii podium ya kiraisi and the crowds that are available for us during funerals, during churches, they are no longer available. If this trend is something to be copied, especially knowing how the Catholic Church returned money, and those who've been declining, that they don't want money, and if you're not going to put it silently without mentioning what you have, then don't bring it. So slowly you can see that that space will shrink. If it shrinks, watu watarudi kwa drawing board, waanze kufikiria what else do we need to do, how else do we get to the Kenyan people. So I think for me, there was that, and then I think lastly kuna huyu Our Lady in Kenya, in Venezuela, who was to be hanged. It's a sad thing, but you can't say, based on how the story has been played out and how the court judged it. It's just that hanging or death is it is scary, but I don't think she was that naive. If somebody wants you to, like Mama Selina has explained, even if you are traveling, somebody does it as a favor. Even for somebody to offer so much money for you to carry their baggage, that's an alarm. Because why do you want to pay me so much just to be able to assist you to carry a baggage? So I think lazima angejitetea, aseme sikujua about your bag, sikujua chenye kilikuwa ndani, because they've been found out. Of course, hanging, the death sentence, even in Kenya, we no longer practice capital punishment, but in other countries, it's still active. So it's also a lesson to us Kenyans. As much as we have our struggles here in Kenya, I think, we just have to be diligent enough. These shortcuts, sometimes they won't work for you, and not for long. Even if they do, sometimes utapatikana. So don't let yourself be used. Don't let yourself be gullible about the opportunities. Look for opportunities that are genuine, opportunities that do not involve criminal activities like carrying drugs or substances that are not allowed, illegal substances. So I think that is the message that I would leave. I hope for her own sake and the family, maybe the punishment can be changed. But the evidence, the court was there, went through the evidence. If you're following keenly, you can see that lazima mtu ajitetee, and life is precious, but it's a learning lesson for us. As much as we want better lives, want to improve our lives, let's just go by what is legal. Thank you.
Bernard, swali moja kabla hujapatia Lala. Kama wakati kuna Pokot, maybe Pokot, Turkanas wanapigania animals. Hii ya Transmara border ya this side ni animals. Ile kitu nimeshindwa na Al-Shabaab wakati wamefamia wanaua watu ama kuna kitu wanataka ama pia ni ufukaji, because we have never known what they really want. Hiyo tu pena tukijua.
Okay, thank you, Mami. Very interesting question, huh? But Al-Shabaab fight for control. They control in the sense that, of course, they want to stamp their authority. And then I think, if I'm not wrong, and I hope I'm wrong, huh? Al-Shabaab has just been reduced into a gang for hire. That is now for politicians. Huh? Like I was saying about the first term of Uhuru Kenyatta, we had a lot of explosives here and there. Explosives here, the one that warranted for Uhuru to reach out for Ngaiseri to run the security sector. So us having our greedy, selfish politicians, some of those clashes and those conflicts are man-made. Man-made as in watu fulani wamelipwa waende kuiba ili watu wakuwe na hiyo vita, na katika hiyo vita kuna ile displace of voters to reduce so that you can win against this other person. Ama katika wakati kuna hiyo vurugu, kuna vile ambavyo labda there is a scandal, you want to divert the attention of Kenyans and you allow such things to take place. And so Al-Shabaab hao ni wanatafuta jinsi ya kuibia watu bila kusumbuliwa. Kwa mfano on the sea, the Indian Ocean, when the seas are the ships are coming in and they are wherever it's not abducted. They are captured, okay? Captured by those lawless people. Then they demand ransom. When they demand ransom, they make money like that. So it's a terror group. But the cattle rustlers and these other border conflicts, in my opinion, they are self-inflicted. Don't forget, nakumbuka ile ilikuwa ya Kericho Kisii, ilizima tu, okay? Ilikuwa constant hapo ndeni ikazima tu pap. So wanasiasa wetu ndio wanapaswa kuchunguzwa. Kuna watu wanatumia hizo conflict for political purposes and it's very bad, kwa sababu watu wamekatwa mikono, wamedungwa nini mishale, and all of that. You are destroying lives, all of it for political expedience. That should not be allowed. And as Kenyans, let's be vigilant. Pia sisi tusikubali kutumiwa, okay? Unapewa 500 kwenda kudungwa mshale kwa shingo. 500 hata unaweza nunua Panado. So tukue na akili, tutumie akili ipasavyo, tusikubali kutumiwa na wanasiasa kuharibu nchi yetu. Naomba tafadhali kwa sababu ya muda tumlete Lala naye achangie. I'm not staying longer. I was trying to get through to Alexio if he can continue with the show, na sijampata. Kwa hivyo naomba tafadhali peana maoni yako Lala, kama upo tusonge.
Asante Bernard, asante Mama Selina, asante Furaha. I greet you all in the name of Christ. Happy Sunday. I want to confess that I've not been up to date with some of the information that I think I'm hearing from all of you. But I just want to comment on the issue of the border. The reason for most national borders basically are two things. One is business, the other one is security. Business has to flow between nations as people travel back and forth. And again, security has to be available to make sure that the two nations or the people are safe. So security is a key element when it comes to border. Now, what I'm hearing is, of course, we've been talking about it. The changes that are being made when it comes to the issue of IDs and what type of assessment or what type of job our security people do in terms of making sure that we don't allow wrong element in the country, and that the president was kind of watering down the process. I think number one, we should never politicize security matters, especially the borders, because our safety is very fragile. These bad people, that the Al-Shabaab, they just don't come walking. They use all kinds of means to get in. And so if you don't have a proper mechanism of controlling such crossing and you let it to go anyhow, I think you are failing practically what your job, is to do. Especially the president is to protect. That's part of the responsibility of any leader, any president, to protect the people. There's no bigger job than protecting Kenyans. And if your job is to open the border, people to come in without any vetting, proper one done, then practically you fail your duty. There's no role for you as a president. And so the issue with Kenya is long-standing. And I think I shared with you when our friend Kaiseri was alive, I used to talk to him. I used to talk with him. He had my number, would call me. I would call him and we would talk about security matters. And he, as a man, I think even midnight, the man would call me anytime. Okay? The man who was not sleeping. You see, in security, you don't, when everybody's awake, everybody's doing their own thing, is asleep, that is, you're awake. It's a 24-hour job. You cannot, there's no lapses. That's why we should never politicize it. Okay. I said that Kenya has had issues with security because the boundary or the borders have been or has been there for business, not security, as much as it should be. That was before even Ruto came in. And how did I know that? I was being educated by a Canadian Commodore who's like a general. Okay. My family and I had crossed over into Canada, the War College, which is one of the top military places. And we had gone there to see one of our Kenyan generals who had come there to do security, to work with the security issues around the globe. Okay, and so we went there and I asked, I'm the one who asked them and asked, why was the US president, I asked American general, not visiting Kenya those days, that was some time back. As much as since Kenya was a close friend and ally of the US, yet the president was going to Uganda, Ethiopia, and even Tanzania, but not Kenya. And the guy, the general, who is a Canadian general, is the one who interjected and and told us, okay, in the presence of my wife and the Kenyan general and others, that Kenya issue is very simple. Kenya does not care much about security in the border, okay? It's about business. And he said Kenya and my country of Canada, this was Canadian general, we are the same, because my country, Canada, is about business, because our border is only one, and that border is with the US. And according to us, US is responsible for that. They're able to take care of that, so we don't have to put a lot of money into our border security, because US is doing it on our behalf. But Kenya is anybody can come in and come out. But then I asked, what does that to do with the US leadership coming into Kenya? And he said that when a US president traveled to a country, they needed data of all the bad guys, whatever they are. They want to know who lives in Isili, who lives in Northeastern, who crossed the border, when did they cross the border, what's really going on. In other words, biotech, all the information indicating, what's going on in the country, they want to see it, to trust their president to visit a country, okay? And when they ask Kenya, they don't have it. Uganda had it, Ethiopian have it, so it is easy for the leader to come. Remember, even when Obama came to Kenya, it was against a lot of many of the security people, because it was a nightmare arranging that. For leaders to cross over, into Kenya was a nightmare maybe from Ethiopia and or other places where Obama was, because of that data is missing, because we let people cross. They come in, we don't know who the bad guys are, the good guys are. We are all in Nairobi. And that's why you saw what happened in Nairobi when Obama came, the kind of security that was there. I was in the US, but I came that time when Obama came, and I witnessed in Nairobi the way, security was. Is because they were not sure what may happen. So when it comes to security, it is so critical that we know who is coming and going out. The other problem with Kenya is really corruption. With corruption, it doesn't matter how much vetting you do. If the people doing the vetting are corrupt, then we are in trouble. So I pray that we really take the security of our country seriously, and let us not politicize anything. Let security matters go that way. And I'm glad people like Kazeri, who understood what security is all about. So I pray that we will not let these people, Al-Shabaab and the rest, do the things they do. And finally, let me say this, it's a sensitive matter. I was in a security training myself, and this is what one of the people who was there told us, okay? It's one of us asked the question, you guys, you brought us here to teach us, but you're scaring us. And the man told us, you see, even us, it's just by God's grace that we stop some of these terrorists. Just by even these FBI trainers, the people who are training us, okay, was telling us that even them, even the US is not sure. It is just, you do the best you can, and the rest is God to help us protect some of this terror. And to tell you, every single day, someone or something is caught coming in to harm us, okay, in the US. So to me, I think when I hear people not being vetted, it's a big mistake. But above all, let us not play around with security matters. Let us protect our borders. Let us allow the vetting to make sure it is properly done, corruption removed, and the country safe. Back to you, Bernard.
Okay, thank you, Reverend Lala. That is a strong one. And as Kenyans, tuwajibike. I think we need to at both levels, national and county government. I think we are too tolerant and too naive when it comes to matters governance, our involvement in the same. And that is making the politicians get away with so many things. So like Lamu is a county, it has a whole government that is the law, wherever the county government, and then the national government. Why should we be having such cases, okay, of 40 foreigners coming in the country and taking charge, partying with Kenyans and identifying themselves as Al-Shabaab? I think Kenyans deserve better, and the ruling class need to have a rethink on how they are going to carry each and every list of all Kenyans. This aspect of sacrificing the entire life of Kenyans to safeguard some greed and, uncontrolled appetite for grabbing things, that need to go. That we stand in the border or wherever protecting Kenyans should mean something to us, not the 500 or the 1,000 they drop for you and you compromise, bring in dangerous people and put the Kenyan lives at risk. This need to end. As civil servants, as public servants, as members of parliament, Senate, and otherwise, can we begin to have an appreciation that being in public office must always be in the interest of the public, and that interest in the public means their safety, their feeding, their welfare, their going out and coming in. And so there has to be a shift in our thinking, a shift in our demanding what is right. I believe by now we should be having some ripple effect in Lamu. The people of Lamu, what are they saying? The people that partook into that particular feeding program, what are they saying? And are they safe? And if they are not safe, are they going to continue covering up the terror group that came to terrorize them? So Wakenya tuamke na tuanze kuuliza maswali ambayo yanafaa ili tukombolewe kabisa kabisa. I listened to Kumekucha's analysis, latest analysis about the SK Macharia's revelations on the elections. And Kumekucha had very strong words on the Kenyans. You see, we can't be fooled 4 times and we are still watching. Something is wrong with us. How could we be cheated out of the presidency and have whenever a person who has not won elections occupy office for a full term and we did nothing? And they're planning to fool us again. Are we still going to fall for the same? And that's what I want to leave with us until we begin to think deeply and find really serious solutions to what is bedeviling this country. We're going to end up in a place worse than where we are, especially on the issues of security, food security, and of course, the issue of education that is being sorted out. And now I hear that they want to make mathematics optional. Something is wrong with this country and we need it fixed. So as Kenyans, tufanye wajibu wetu. Ningependa kwamba tukatamatishe kipindi. I've taken my medicine and it's giving me a very severe headache, so I can't keep on running. Nimekuwa nimejaribu kumtafuta Alexio apatikani na niko hapa peke yangu, kwa hivyo itakuwa ngumu kuendelea. So naomba tafadhali tuanze kufungasha, lakini tutaendelea na mazungumzo haya kwa sababu nchi hii lazima tuilinde na nchi hii lazima tutetee haki ya Wakenya. Hata kama wanasiasa wameamua kuiuza, tuokoe kile ambacho tunaweza kukiokoa, na wale wote ambao wanakubali mkataba wa ufisadi kujaribu kununua sehemu yoyote ya Kenya, tutakuwa na serikali ambayo itachukua hizo vitu zirudi kwa Wakenya. And there was a suggestion of nationalization. I think we need to go that direction, the way Burkina Faso is doing. Nationalization means all the resources, all the minerals, and all the things that are being produced in that country. Each and every citizen of that country is entitled to the proceedings that are coming from that, whether it be government, wherever, selling our minerals, or let's say we have KTDA, Kenya Tea Development, I think, is it authority or whichever. So if it's an entity for the government and is trading in the tea that we have produced, each and every Kenyan should have a portion in the same. So this aspect of us being capitalists and making everything commercial and wanting every Kenyan to pay and, buy for anything they can get from their government, then it defeats the whole purpose of us having a government in the first place. And so kama Wakenya tuko na kazi tena, usinyamaze kwamba kumbuka ma commissioners sasa wamefanywa shortlisting, vetting itaanza hivi karibuni, na commissioner wa IEBC hao ndio wamekuwa kisungumkuti, ama the entirety of the IEBC has been kisungumkuti in the country moving forward and getting right president and right people that have been voted for by the people. And so let's sober up and zero into these most important things. The IEBC, how it's being constituted, the kind of people that are being fronted. Let's do background checkup. Since the government is lazy, doesn't want to do background checkup, let's do it for them. So that the time for vetting, we show up and tell them this person cannot hold public office because when he held this, this was lost, this was lost, this was lost. And so I think we do that, and we will be all right. So tafadhali naomba tuanze kufungasha. So in 2-3 minutes, let's do our closing remarks. Tukianza na mama, alafu Furaha, and then Lala will be the last one. Mama ni kama amekuwa amenyakuliwa. Furaha, sum it up, please.
Yeah, I think on that note that you're bringing, again, it's about diligence and being awake. You know, the Gen Z or the youthful generation in Kenya, ukiona places like TikTok or X, you know, the Kenyans are considered, you know, a no-go zone in terms of, you know, you touch them and they can come after you kwa mtandao, kiasi cha kwamba you just put your hands up. Yeah, South Africans, you just make a joke or you say something that's negative or not so positive about Kenya, and they say, oh, tusalimie huyo, they come after you. And I'm just telling myself that, you know, that kind of energy, that kind of follow-up, if we now put it into action in terms of the things that we really want for our country, that at some point, even our lazy MPs, people who just have no integrity, they just earn salaries for not doing anything, they can see that people are woke, people are keen, people are following up on things, so that they begin to also do their bit. You know, if once they realize that, you know, Kenyans, as much as we want to come after Ruto, who is at the head, but there are some people who we can get from the ground, people whom we can challenge, and, you know, they might want to reach out, and they might not get the help that they need. You know, okay, somebody like the impeached governor, you know, whether it's genuine or not genuine, whether she had a stake. I don't know if the court process has just, and the process had its own misgivings in terms of she's a lady and all the challenges that they were talking about in the county, or some of the accusations that were being done. But what you can take is that it is possible for people to rally and get you out if they want to. It is possible for people, if especially if it's of goodwill, and they come together and they put out a strong case, it is possible to get you out. They fell short because you remember when they tried to impeach who is this lady governor? They tried to impeach anaitwa nani huyo wa NYS scandal. Waiguru. But you remember the county assembly fell short in terms of there were allegations, but now justifying them, ndo walishindwa kujustify pale, wakiulizwa on this count where is the evidence, on this count where is the evidence. So there was a just cause for them to go after Waiguru, but they didn't prepare enough for the impeachment process. And so we've had a few impeachments, especially where the governor is. Sometimes it's because these people have interests and they go after the governor because the governor is not hataki wakule vile wanataka kukula, ama hataki watumie pesa jinsi wataka kutumia, and sometimes they can rally around that and try to get you out. But if as Kenyans we would do the same for our constituencies, for our MPs, we put so much pressure so that people realize you can't just come in, sit there, 5 years lapses, you haven't worked, you don't go to parliament, you earn a salary, and life just goes on as usual. That attitude of Kenya, people getting away with some of the most heinous, of crimes, or just negligence, I think that attitude is killing the continuity and progress that we want. Yani tunaona tu mtu hafanyi kazi yake, and the life just goes on as if it's all right. It's okay for them to earn a salary. It's okay for them to do whatever they want. It's not. Wakikuwekea hata tangia maji, nakwambia media yote inakuja, inakaa hapo, inatangaza. I saw that lady. I'll try and get the details. Ukisikia vile najisifu vile amepeleka tangi ya maji. Bernard, watu wako na tangi za maji kwa maboma zao. In this day and age, everywhere people are drilling boreholes, whether ni nyumbani, whether wapi. So if an elected member of parliament amegather media and they're celebrating just a tank ameletea watu as if anawafanyia favor, ni Mungu wao, it's something that Kenyans we really need to we need to just be serious and task these people, because they're not doing us favors. Wakisaidia mtu kuzika mtoto, wakisaidia mtu kupeleka mtoto shule, it's a justification for their salary increment, that unajua tunagongewa, hawa watu wanataka tuwasaidie. And even you help people every other day. Do you go to seek salary increment because umechangia watu, ama umesaidia majirani, ama umezika relatives, ama umesomesha watoto wa watu? So for now, even as we try to calm the country down based on the MOU, so that some things might begin to work, hopefully, the buck still stops at the one opportunity that we have. Other opportunities can be explored. We are not closing them. But the ballot, that's where we have our biggest strength and our biggest say. So if we correct the process and we clean up the act, I believe, just like SK Macharia was hoping, Gitahi, I think even in his, rest, I think that is what he was hoping for. And Raila, in offering himself several times, I think that is what we've all been hoping for, that our vote, our ballot will count. That's where I want to end it, Bernard.
Thank you. Our vote and our decision at the ballot should count exactly, and we should refuse to be fooled. If we voted a particular direction and the results are coming the other way, we should reject those results and insist on what is right. Reverend Lala, in a minute, please, let's close.
Yes, Farah and Bernard and Mama Selena, thank you for opportunity. Farah, thank you for your very insightful commentaries, and we delight in that you are on this panel. And Bernard, feel better. May the Lord continue to grant you the grace to continue to improve your health, because we know whatever's going on is because you're giving us 100%, and we're grateful that you are our leader here. Again, Mama Selena, we can't do without your consistency and your motherly wisdom that allow us to reflect on some of these issues. I think for me, I'm truly sad as a Kenyan. I happen to live outside Kenya, and but I come home, and to imagine that where I live, traffic, people pay their taxes. You walk on the road, you know this road was done because your taxes was used wisely. You know the salary of your congressperson, and up to the quarter or a cent. They cannot use their office for personal gains while they are in the office. So you know all this happening to you. And then you take a plane and leave here. And when you are landing in Kenya, it is a land where the constitution and the laws only work for some people. In other words, you are landing in an environment that basically obeys the law of the jungle. The poor are poor. And just hearing Furah talk about these leaders going out there using the taxpayers' money, and it's as if they've done them a favor. Okay, they live large. They go to Dubai and do all these wonderful things they buy, which actually an MP in the U.S., I mean, a Congress equivalent of an MP, which is a congressperson, cannot. The Kenyans want higher than the ones here. Yet, people are living below poverty. You look at the policeman is on the road waiting for the little they have to share with them. Okay, and and that money they collect is not even ending with that poor police officer. He has to give to the boss, because the boss is the one that allows him to be on that particular road. And so it is just a syndicate of criminality and illegality. And those that have been called, like the church, like the judiciary and others, to put law and order, to help the conscience, the ethics and all that, and let people know what is good, are already part of the cartel. So you leave whether it's New York, whatever town you live, London, whatever, you go and land in a country, and then you start asking yourself, what has our nation come to? We talk of colonialist, colonial government and how bad they were. And let me tell you, some of those old folks, my father and the rest, many of them would even, you hear them say, I wish the colonial government come, we could live under the colonial rule. I don't know why, but I think it's because at least there, if they needed a job, they didn't have to go and pay for it. They don't have to pay the mzungu to get the job. Okay, they would get it. But now your own African, your own brother and your own sisters demanding, just because you come from a different tribe, you can't get it, or you get it. So we have subverted what we had envisioned. I mean, the laws that we came up with, not to serve us, not to serve all of us, but only for few of us. And I think a channel like this one that allow us to share our frustrations, our fears, our observation is a channel that all of us should come to, because the more we put our voices together, the better that this group will listen, because they are not listening, they are eating. When people are eating, they don't listen, and they don't really care much about you. And so let us all come and denounce that which is wrong. The MOU, I accept it, but I'm a little suspicious of it. And I pray that Baba will not allow him to be manipulated, because Kenyans have had hope in him. And that's why 4 times they've given the presidency, but he's never had it. And so to me, that revelation by Mr. Macharia, SK, I think it's SK, Macharia, was an eye-opener. Most of us knew, but when someone like this man who participated, who was taken from his home to go into the office to change figures, is mind-boggling. So all of us as Kenyans must, I think God is reminding us that all of us have a role to play. And ideally, what would have been the answer to this is let tomorrow the leadership be given to the right honor. Okay? Because we still have a conscience, we still have a thought. I think Kenya should simply say no. Whether it is a unity government, we don't have to wait till 2027. That's my own feeling, okay? Because 2027 is like, unless we really work hard, we are simply postponing the problem, and our children will have to take care of it. I think when you hear the truth, when you know the truth, I think we should act based on the truth and simply say, let us do it now. I think that way we're going to save everybody. Those who have been victim and victimizers, they all come together and say, based on what we know, based on where we are going, we have no future. Let us do the right thing and give leadership to the right honor. Do it now. And I think Ruto should be, the best thing you would have done is to simply say, I messed, I goofed. Let us give this person the right leadership. And that person, if the Kenyans agree on what needs to be done, I think it can be done. I think Kenyans would be willing to come up with a system now to help us get to 2027. And I hope maybe that's what Baba has in mind between now and 2027. But drastic changes must take place, including people letting us know exactly what their roles were, and forgiveness and correcting the problem. That is the only way. From a pastor's perspective, from security perspective, I think it is something that we can manage based on the knowledge that we have. And I pray that that's an option that Baba has, and plus people who are leadership have, and all of us can come up with something that can help us, that leads us to 2027. Because under these circumstances, you know what? I don't think we are heading anywhere unless things change between now and 2027. Otherwise, thank you very much, Bernard. Go and rest. Mama Selina, asante, and Sistangu Furaha, barikiweni sana. Asante. Back to you.
You are watching Sound Candy Talk Live.